It was a quiet night in the middle of nowhere. The stars were hidden behind dark clouds, and the wind moved slowly across the fields. Old Man Tom sat on his wooden porch, drinking tea. His small farmhouse stood alone, far from the town. No one came here, and Tom liked it that way. Then something strange happened. A bright light flashed across the sky. It wasn't a shooting star. It was faster, bigger. It made no sound, but the clouds lit up like day for a second. Tom stood up, squinting his eyes. The light crashed somewhere behind the hills. Boom. A deep, soft thud. Then silence again. Tom waited. Nothing moved. No animals. No wind. No sound at all. Must be a satellite, he said to himself, though he didn't believe it. That night he didn't sleep well. The next morning the sun rose, slow and golden. Tom grabbed his basket to pick peaches from his garden. His fruit trees were his pride. He had grown them for 20 years. No one touched his peaches, not birds, not bugs, not even wind dared. But today, something was wrong. Half-eaten peaches lay on the ground. Branches were broken. Small footprints led into the garden. Tom stopped walking. He looked around. Nothing. The footprints were tiny, like a child's, but no child lived nearby. He followed the trail, and there she was. A small girl stood under the peach tree. She wore strange clothes, silver and tight, like a suit made of stars. Her skin was smooth and pale. Her hair was white, not old white, glowing white, like snow under moonlight. She turned slowly. Her eyes were the strangest thing Tom had ever seen. No pupils, just silver. The girl held a peach. She took a bite. Tom didn't move. "Hey," he said, trying not to sound angry. "That's my fruit." The girl looked at him. She didn't run. She didn't speak. Just stared. Tom stepped forward. "You lost, girl. Where's your family?" The girl blinked. Her lips didn't move. But suddenly, Tom heard a voice not in his ears, but inside his head. "I'm sorry," the voice said. "I was hungry." Tom froze. "What? What did you say?" he whispered. The girl dropped the peach and tried to run. But she stumbled and fell. Her body was weak. She was breathing hard. Tom walked over carefully and bent down. She looked up at him. "Please, don't tell them." Tom shook his head. "Tell who?" She didn't answer. Her eyes closed, and then Tom saw something impossible. She had no shadow. Tom carried the girl into his house. She was light, like a bag of feathers. He laid her on the couch and covered her with a blanket. She was cold to the touch, but alive. He sat on the chair and watched her. "What in the world are you?" he whispered. That night, strange things happened. The lights in the house blinked. His old radio turned on by itself. Static filled the room. Then, a strange language came through. Not any language Tom had ever heard. It sounded like music and whispers, like the wind speaking through wires. The girl moved in her sleep. Her fingers glowed slightly. Tom turned off the radio. In the morning, the girl woke up. She sat up slowly. Looking around the room, Tom made her some toast and warm milk. "You want to eat?" he asked. She nodded. Her hands shook as she took the food. She still didn't speak. "Can you tell me your name?" Tom asked. She paused. Then, inside his head again, he heard Laya. Tom smiled, though confused. "Nice to meet you, Laya. I'm Tom. You're not from around here, are you?" Laya looked out the window. Then she said in her silent voice, "They will come. If they find me, they will hurt you." Tom frowned. "Who's coming?" But Laya didn't answer. Instead, she held up her hand. A small blue light floated above her. Palm, it danced like fire, but made no heat. Then it disappeared. Tom stood up slowly. He felt a chill in his bones. "All right," he said. "You can stay here. But we need to be careful." That evening, Laia slept again. Tom locked the doors and windows. He turned off the lights and sat by the fireplace, thinking. Outside, the wind moved strange. In the distance, a black shape flew across the sky. No sound, just a shadow. Then his radio spoke again. But this time, it said something clear. One word, not in English, not in any human tongue. But Tom understood it. Found. D. Looked at Laia. And for the first time in years, he felt afraid. It began with a dream. Tom was standing in a burning field. The sky above was full of fire and broken stars. The ground shook like it was crying. In the middle of it all stood a little girl, looking up. Her eyes were glowing silver dots suddenly. Her voice filled Tom's head like thunder and water. "Don't let them find me." He woke up with a gasp. It was still dark outside. The fire in the fireplace had gone cold. Leah was sitting on the floor now, near the window. She was not sleeping. She didn't blink. She didn't move. But her eyes stared up at the sky like she could see something far beyond the stars. Tom rubbed his face. "You all right, kid?" She turned her head. No sound came from her lips, but once again her voice entered his mind. "You dreamed what I showed you." Tom stood up slowly. "Do you mean you showed me?" Leah didn't answer. Instead, she raised her hand again, and a small image appeared in the air, floating, glowing, alive. Tom saw a planet green, beautiful and spinning fast. Then fire, smoke, screams. Tom's heart beat faster. "Where you're from?" Laia nodded. "It's gone now." She didn't cry. But something in the air changed. The room felt heavier, like grief had taken shape. Tom sat beside her, his voice soft. "What happened?" Laia looked down. "They destroyed it. For energy, for control. They said we were weak." "Who's they?" Laia stared at the floor. "You call them ... government, but not your government. Older, deeper." Tom tried to understand, but his mind ached. "Are you saying they're here? On Earth?" She nodded. "And you? You're running from them?" Again, a nod. Tom took a deep breath. He had fought in wars. He had seen death. But this, girl who spoke without words, showing him planets and secret enemies. This was something else, still. One thing was clear. She was alone. And scared. Later that morning, Tom gave her clothes, old jeans, and a hoodie. She looked strange in human clothes, but less suspicious. Her silver eyes stayed hidden under the hood. Tom said, "We'll drive into town, maybe get some help." Leah shook her head quickly. "Why not?" She touched his arm gently in his mind. A sharp image flashed. Two men in black suits, smiling too much. Eyes like glass, talking to a woman. Then, the woman vanished. Tom pulled back. "You showed me again." She nodded. "They'll pretend to help, but they're already watching." He looked around his house, then at the sky. He felt a cold fear he hadn't felt since the war. They drove down the dirt road in Tom's old truck. Dust flew up behind them. The town was 10 miles away. Halfway there, a black van passed them, windows tinted. No license plate. Laia tensed. Tom slowed the truck. "That them?" She didn't reply, but her hand glowed under her sleeve. Tom turned the truck around. "We're not going to town," Kay said. Back at the house, Tom went to the shed, pulled out a wooden box. Inside, an old shotgun, a flare gun, some survival gear, and a military radio. Leah stood in the doorway. "You're going to fight them?" Tom smiled sadly. "Old men don't fight. We prepare." She didn't smile. Then suddenly her eyes widened. She grabbed her head. "What is it?" Radio turned on by itself. Static, then a sound. A signal. Beep, beep. B-E-E-E-E-P. Tom looked at the screen. Coordinates, right where his house stood. They've locked on. Laia whispered, her real voice for the first time. Soft, afraid. Tom walked over and stood in front of her. You're safe here, Laia. You hear me? She looked up at him. No one is safe. Not anymore. That night, Laia stood outside in the field. Her hands touched the dirt. She whispered words that didn't sound like any language Tom had ever known. The ground shook a little. A small blue flower grew in seconds. She picked it, gave it to Tom. It's from my home, she said. It can't die. Tom took it gently. Thank you. She paused. Then said, they want to erase Earth like they erased us. But your kind is different. Tom raised an eyebrow. Different how? Laia smiled faintly. You remember? In the distance, the black van stopped. By the side of the road, two men stepped out, wearing clean black suits, smiling too much and not blinking. They didn't knock. They just stood there. Two men in black suits. At the edge of the porch, in the morning fog, Old Man Tom saw them through the window. They weren't moving, just waiting. He didn't remember hearing a car. No footsteps, no sounds. At all, just silence. And those smiles. Tom stepped outside slowly. His shotgun rested behind the door, just in case. Morning, he said, trying to stay calm. One of the men nodded. The other tilted his head. Morning, sir, said the first, his voice too smooth. Too flat. We're with the outer environment. Safety department. Tom raised an eyebrow. Never heard of it. The second man chuckled, a short, dry laugh. There was a meteor last night, the first one said. Landed somewhere near here. Did you see or hear anything unusual? Tom scratched his chin. Nope. Slept like a baby. The men stared at him for a full 5 seconds. No blinking. Then the first man smiled wider. May we come in? Inside. Leah crouched under the wooden floorboards. She didn't move. Didn't breathe. She could hear them, not with her ears, but in her head. Their thoughts were like knives. Scan the old man. He's lying. Energy signature is faint but nearby. Target must be close. Keep him talking. She closed her eyes and focused. A soft light spread under her skin. Hidden by the darkness, she sent one silent message to Tom's mind. Don't let them inside. They are not human. Outside, Tom smiled back. I'd love to invite you in, he said, but I've got a sick dog, and he don't like strangers. The second man looked toward the house. We won't take long. Still, Tom said. Stepping forward, I don't allow uninvited guests, not even government ones. The men went silent again. Then the first one said, if you do see anything unusual, let us know. He pulled out a black card. No logo, no name. Just a phone. Number. Tom didn't take it. They both turned at the same time. Walked back toward the road. Still no sound, still no car, and then they were gone. Tom went back inside. Leah climbed out from under the floor. They weren't breathing. She said softly. Tom nodded. I noticed. They're not fully machines. Not fully alive. They call themselves the cleaners. Tom looked down at her. They work for whoever destroyed your world. No, Laia said. They were stolen from mine, rebuilt, reprogrammed, used like tools. She looked up at him. They used to be like me. That night, Tom checked every window, locked every door. He kept the shotgun close. Laia sat at the table, holding something in her hand. A small silver orb. It floated above her palm, spinning slowly. What is that? Tom asked. A memory capsule. I've kept it hidden. Memory. She nodded. Stores knowledge, history, secrets, and one defense. She closed her hand and the orb disappeared. Tom frowned. Can it help us fight? Laia shook her head. Only protect. Only once. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The radio turned on again, all by itself. But this time, a voice came through. A human voice. If you can hear this, get out. They're inside already. Then static. Then silence. Tom looked at Laia. Was that from one of yours? She shook her head. Someone else is awake, she whispered. The next day, Tom drove into the village with Leah hidden in the back of the truck, covered by blankets. They needed food, fuel, maybe answers. The village felt strange, too quiet. The same people stood in the same spots. The baker waved the same wave. The postman smiled the same smile. Laia peeked from under the blanket. Her eyes widened. They've been wiped. Tom frowned. What do you mean? She whispered. Their minds. Reset. Like broken clocks stuck. On the same hour, they drove past the church. Leah suddenly grabbed his arm. There, she said. Underground. A signal. From my kind. Tom parked the truck. They had to go inside the old church. Dust covered everything. A painting of angels looked cracked. No one was there, but behind the altar. They found a locked trapdoor. Laia pressed her hand to it. The lock melted like butter. Tom opened it slowly. A metal staircase led into the dark. Laia said, "This is not Earth-built." Tom loaded his shotgun. Then let's go see who built it. Asterisk, the stairs did not end. Tom and Laia had been walking down for minutes, yet the metal steps kept going. The air grew colder. The walls changed stone at first, then steel. The smell turned sharp, like burning wires. No lights, no sound. Only footsteps, and the quiet hum of something ancient. Tom gripped his flashlight tighter. This Goliath, just behind him, whispered deeper than memory. At last, the stairs opened into a long hallway. Silver walls, smooth, clean. Not dusty like the church above. Tom aimed his flashlight ahead. Symbols glowed faintly on the floor. Alien shapes. Moving like waves, Laia touched one and closed her eyes. I know this place, she whispered. Tom glanced at her. You've been here? She shook her head. No, but I was born from here. Cool. They moved slowly down the hall. On both sides were glass rooms, empty now, but inside were broken machines, black wires, strange chairs with headrests, and dried blood. Tom's voice dropped. This looks like a lab. Leah nodded. A testing place. For people like me. Tom felt his stomach turn. This was under the village. Laia touched a control panel. It lit up. A file opened. Tom leaned in. Project E3 Hybrid Compatibility. Location, Earth Hub 07. Status. Abandoned lead researcher, Dr. Maria SS. Level class red. Tom froze. That's my wife's name. For the first time, Laia looked surprised. She worked here. She disappeared 15 years ago. Tom said slowly. Told me it was some science contract. Never came back. He stared at the screen. His hands shook. She never told me anything about this. Laia touched his arm gently. They erase memories, Tom. That's how they control. Erase, he whispered. Double quotes, yes. Not just for workers, for the whole town. A sound echoed behind them. Click. They turned fast. The door at the end of the hallway was now open. But no one had touched it. Blue light spilled out from within. Tom raised the shotgun. They stepped inside. The room was round, full of floating orbs, glowing like stars. In the center, a giant metal chair with wires going into the floor. Leah gasped. "This is a memory well." Tom frowned. "What does it do?" "It holds minds, thoughts, truths." Leah stepped forward and placed her hand on the chair. Suddenly, the room changed. Images flashed in the air. A young Maria, smiling, standing. Next to a glass chamber, inside the chamber was a baby. But not just any baby. It had glowing eyes. Tom stepped back. "That's you, Leah," whispered. "No, it's one before me." More images came. Tests, experiments, screaming. Then, a figure in a black suit, saying one line: "Shut it all down, wipe the village, seal the lab, leave no traces." The vision ended. Tom breathed hard. So everyone up there, they're living fake lives. Leah nodded. They forget every week. The same jobs, same greetings, same weather. Their time is broken. Why? To protect the secret, she said. That aliens came here, and humans helped. Suddenly, an alarm rang. Red lights blinked. A robotic voice echoed, "Unauthorized access. Memory core activated. Purge protocols. Engaged." Leah grabbed Tom's hand. "We have to go. They know we're in." They ran up the stairs 2 at a time. Behind them, the hallway began to close. Metal walls folding. Lights dying. They burst through the trapdoor into the church. But the church wasn't empty anymore. Villagers stood in rows. Blank faces, empty eyes. All looking at them. The baker, the postman, even the priest. All silent, all still. Tom stepped back. "What's happening?" Leah's voice shook. "They've been reactivated. Sleepwalkers." The villagers took 1 step forward. In perfect sync, Tom raised the shotgun. But Leah touched his shoulder. "No, don't." She stepped forward, held out her hand. Her skin began to glow bright white. The villagers blinked. One by one, they dropped to their knees, holding their heads, crying, waking up, remembering. Outside, the wind changed. Tom looked toward the road. The black van had returned. But this time, it wasn't alone. 4 more vans behind it, and something worse above them. A floating drone with a symbol Tom had seen once. In his wife's old files, not from Earth, Leah turned to him, her face calm. "It's time you saw everything, Tom." The Earth opened its mouth and swallowed them. Not with teeth, not with hunger, but with memory. Tom and Leah stood at the edge of the field as the villagers cried behind them. No longer puppets, but broken people, remembering pieces of a life they never chose. And above them, the drone watched, still, silent, deadly, tawdry. Tom whispered, "We can't stay here." Leah nodded. "There's one place left, beneath the old well." Tom frowned. "That dried-up thing behind my barn." "It's not a well," she said. "It's an access point." "To what?" Leah looked up at the sky. "To the core." The black vans rolled closer now. Dust behind them like smoke. Tom and Leah moved fast. They reached the well, just a circle of rocks and weeds. Leah placed her palm on the stones. The ground clicked. Then, a perfect circle of light appeared. A hidden platform. It began to sink with a soft hum. Down, down, under the earth. Tom stared around as steel walls rose beside them. No one ever knew. He asked. They were never allowed to remember. Leah said below was a chamber, massive, cold, humming like a giant heartbeat. Screens lit up on their own. Maps, names, DNA strands. Tom walked past a glass wall. Inside, it was a cryopod. A person floated in blue light. His breath caught Maria. Leah stepped beside him. "It's her," she said. "Your wife." She's still alive. Tom pressed his hand to the glass. She looks the same. They froze her, Leah explained. She knew too much. She protected one of us. Me? Tom turned sharply. You knew her. Leah nodded. She was my protector. She told me your name before they took her. On a nearby screen, video footage flickered. Tom's house. Years ago, Maria tucking a glowing baby into a basket. Hiding it under peach trees, Leah. Tom backed away. You were raised here, and I didn't know. They erased it, Leah said gently. Even from you. Tears formed in Tom's eyes. They stole my family. Leah looked away. They did worse to mine. Suddenly, the floor shook. A voice echoed through the speakers. Not robotic. Not human. Cold. Ancient, unauthorized entry. Core breach in progress. Cleaners activated. Perimeter closing. Leah moved to the main console, pulled out the silver orb from her suit, placed it in the center slot. The room lit up, blue lines shooting through the floor. Walls and ceiling. Tom stared as alien letters appeared, then transformed into English. Earth Hybrid Zone, Class 3 Host Species. Viable status. Awakening? What does that mean? Tom asked. Leah stared at the screen. It means the test is over. They're coming back. To collect? Who's they? Leah looked at him, and for the first time, she looked afraid. The ones who made me. The ones who use planets like toys. Suddenly, another pod opened behind them. Steam hissed. Out stepped a man, but his eyes were glass. His skin too perfect. One of the cleaners, but something was wrong. He looked at Tom, then at Leah, and knelt. Leah blinked. You're not like the others. The cleaner looked up. I remember you. Lionine, you spared me. On Virlan Moon, Tom raised his gun. Don't, Leah said. He's broken free. The cleaner nodded. This lab was meant to build soldiers. But he pointed to the frozen pod. She changed the code. She tried to make protectors instead. Tom's voice cracked. My wife did all this. She started a rebellion, the cleaner said. It begins here or ends here. Then, the lights turned red. Explosions shook the ceiling. The voice returned, louder. Purge protocol, now active. Leah grabbed Tom's hand. We can't save the lab. But Maria, he started, she survived the freeze. We need to save. Earth, the cleaner stepped forward. Take this. He handed Leah a small disk. Coordinates. Their true base, hidden above the clouds. Tom took the disk. Above the clouds, Leah answered, a sky station. Invisible to human tech. That's where they're controlling everything. As they ran to the exit, the lab began to collapse. Behind them, the frozen pod sank into a sealed vault, protected, waiting. Leah turned once. Whispered, thank you, Mother. Then followed Tom. Above ground, the sky was no longer blue. Black shapes hovered near the village. People ran. Some screamed. Some stood still again, caught in the waves of memory control. Tom loaded his last shell. Leah powered up the... Or be ready? Tom asked. No, Leah said. But we're not alone anymore. Behind them, villagers began to move with purpose. Some held tools, some cried, some picked up weapons, but all were awake. Asterisk, nobody spoke. Not the farmers with dirt still on their hands. Not the old woman who'd forgotten her name for 20 years. Not the school teacher with tears running down her face as she held a kitchen knife. They all stood behind Tom's barn, waiting for something they didn't fully understand. Waiting, because they felt it. This was the last time they'd be told to forget. The sky above the village had changed. It no longer looked like sky. It looked like a mirror. Broken glass hanging in the clouds. Shapes floated in that broken sky. Sharp, silent dots. Drones, pods, and something bigger. A ring. Tom stared up at it. Is that a ship? Leia stood beside him. Her eyes were glowing again. No, she said. It's a gate. Once it opens, Earth is no longer yours. Tom walked back into the barn. His hands shook as he loaded. Shotgun. Not because he was afraid, because he was angry. They had stolen his wife, his memories, his home. But not today. Today, he remembered everything. Outside, Leia stood on a wooden crate. The crowd gathered around her. She looked small. Thin, just a girl in old jeans and a hoodie. But when she spoke without moving her lips, every single person heard her. Inside their own heads, they came to this world to erase it, to use it, to take your children, your land, your skies. But you are not weak. You are human. And humans fight back. The people didn't cheer. They didn't raise fists. But something inside them woke up something ancient, something furious. Suddenly, a deep hum. Then, a black van rolled onto the field. Its surface shimmered like it wasn't solid to cleaners. Stepped out, they walked forward slowly. Unarmed, one spoke. Return the subject. No harm will come to your kind. Tom stepped forward. Liar. The cleaner tilted his head. You are a farmer. I'm human, Tom said. That's enough. And then he fired. The shot ripped through the air. One cleaner dropped. Sparks burst from its neck. The other raised an arm. Too late. Leia stepped forward and lifted the orb. A wave of blue light spread out like a silent scream. The cleaner froze, then shattered into dust. And just like that, the final battle began from the sky. Pods dropped fast, sleek, black, hissing steam. They landed across the village roads, rooftops, fields. Soldier machines stepped out. Some looked human, some didn't. Villagers grabbed tools, hammers, pipes. Old rifles, anything they could hold, Tom shouted. Protect the children. An old woman tossed him a flare gun. Protect us all. Leia stood in the center of it all, hairs glowing brighter than ever. The silver orb floated above her now, pulsing like a heart. Tom fought near her side, blast after blast, each step. Forward felt impossible, but he moved anyway, because she was moving too, and he had waited his whole life. To do something that mattered, one of the pods exploded. A blast of fire and wind. The schoolteacher ran through the smoke and smashed a drone with a shovel. A teenager hacked a machine with a garden blade. The village had become a battlefield, but not one person ran, not this time. Then the gate above the clouds began to spin fast, fast, louder. A beam of light came down straight toward the earth. Leia screamed, not out loud, but inside every mind. They're activating the reset. Tom grabbed her hand. What do we do? Leia's eyes blazed. We fight into the sky. She held the orb high. A massive beam of light shot up straight into the clouds. Hitting the gate's beam head-on, lightning cracked, thunder rolled. Backwards machines froze mid-dash step, then exploded. The sky turned white for 1 second, then blue again. Real. Blue, blue, human blue. Silent smoke drifted. The gate above the clouds cracked like glass and vanished. The battlefield was quiet now. Bodies, machine, and human lay across the field. But so did hands held tight. So did people standing tall. So did Earth, still here. Still ours. Leia dropped to her knees. Tom caught her. You did. It, he whispered. No, she said softly. We did. Her light faded, but her smile stayed. The battle was over. But the sky did not forget. It was quiet now. Too quiet. Smoke curled slowly into the morning light. The fields were full of ash, broken machines, and blooming flowers. Yes, flowers. Wherever Lia's light had touched the ground, something had grown blue petals, glowing edges, soft as breath. They weren't from Earth, but they belonged here now. Tom sat on the porch again, just like the beginning. Same chair, same cup of tea, but everything was different. His shotgun leaned quietly against the wall. No enemies in sight, only people rebuilding fences, sharing bread, planting seeds. They didn't speak much, but they didn't forget. Not anymore, Lia. I hadn't woken up in 3 days. She slept in the barn, wrapped in a blanket made of Tom's old clothes. She looked peaceful. Her skin no longer glowed, but it shimmered under sunlight. Tom checked on her every hour, spoke to her like a father, sometimes just sat beside her, watching her breathe on the side. On the 4th day, the wind changed. The sky dimmed, even though it was noon. A soft, humming sound filled the air. Tom stepped outside. He didn't see a ship. He saw a ripple, like someone had touched the sky and made it shake. Then, light poured through. A crack in the clouds, not fire, not heat, just invitation inside the barn. Lia opened her eyes. She stood up without speaking. Tom met her at the door. "You knew they'd come," he said. She nodded. "Not to take me, to let me choose." "You leaving? I don't belong here," she said, "but I will never forget." Tom's voice shook. "You have a home here now." Lia stepped forward and held out the silver orb, now dull, like stone. "This is yours," she said. "You earned it." Tom took it. It felt warm in his hand, like it remembered him, like she remembered him. The light in the sky grew stronger. It didn't pull her. It waited like a doorway. Only she could walk through. Tom asked, "Will we ever see you again?" Lia smiled. "Not in the way you expect," she said. "But yes, when you look at the stars and feel something human. That's me." People gathered quietly in the field. They didn't need to be told. They just knew. They came to say goodbye. Lia walked slowly between them, touching shoulders, smiling softly. Some cried, some held her hand for just a second longer. The children followed her like she was made of light at the edge of the field. She turned around one last time. She looked at Tom, and he saw her the way Maria must have seen her long ago, not as alien, not as threat, but as a bridge between what humans are and what they could be. She stepped into the light. No ship, no sound, just one pulse of color. And she was gone. The sky closed gently. The ripple faded. The wind went still. Tom didn't speak. He didn't need to. He walked back to the porch, sat down, and for the first time in years, he smiled. Weeks later, people began to change. Not just the village, not just the town, but the world. Somewhere, memories had returned. The cleaners were gone. The gate never reopened, and the blue flowers kept spreading in gardens, on rooftops, even in cities. People asked where they came from. Tom never told them. But every morning, he watered the one that grew beside his porch, the very first one, the one Lia gave him, the one that could never die.